In the quaint, bustling town of Macefield, Eloise Hastings had spent the majority of her days immersed in the world of books, managing the little corner library nestled between Mrs. Dalby's florist and Mr. Evans' antique shop. Her life was a routine of familiar faces and dusty pages until a breezy October morning introduced a disruption named Thomas Weller, a reserved photographer, who unexpectedly became stranded when his train was indefinitely delayed. Thomas entered the library to seek refuge from the cold, carrying his camera and an air of mystery that intrigued Eloise more than she cared to admit. She noticed him immediately, his tall frame bending slightly to fit through the entrance, his eyes scanning the sanctuary of books before settling on her with a polite smile. "Is it all right if I spend a few hours here? My train to Paris has been delayed," he asked in a soft, yet rich accent that Eloise found herself wanting to hear more of. "Of course," she replied, gesturing toward the reading nooks by the windows. "If you need any help finding a book or anything." "I could use some recommendations," he admitted, and that was the beginning of an unexpected conversation that flowed effortlessly between them about everything from classic novels to obscure poetry. Over the next few hours, as they explored the aisles and shared favorite quotes, Eloise found herself captivated not just by Thomas's knowledge, but by the passion that seemed to radiate from him when he spoke about his photography. He shared stories of the places he had captured through his lens, and with each tale, Eloise's world, once confined to Masefield's borders, expanded. When the announcement came that his train was ready for boarding, a surprising pang of sadness hit Eloise. Thomas seemed to hesitate, his hand on the door, when he turned to her. "Would you like to see Paris through my camera?" he asked abruptly. "I mean, would you come with me?" The invitation hung between them, bold and unexpected. Eloise was a heartbeat away from saying yes, but fear, that old familiar restraint, tugged at her. "I can't just leave," she faltered. "Why not?" Thomas challenged gently. Eloise had no answer, and the silence was filled with possibilities, stretching out like the endless tracks before the last train to Paris. After a moment that seemed to last both an eternity and no time at all, she smiled. "Give me 5 minutes," Eloise said finally, her voice a mixture of disbelief and exhilaration. She quickly penned a note for Mrs. Dalby, who would understand more than anyone the call of an unexpected adventure. With a small suitcase packed with essentials and a heart full of dreams, Eloise met Thomas outside. Hand in hand, they rushed to the station, just in time to board the train that would carry them toward a city famed for romance, but more importantly, toward a future neither had dared to envision just hours before. As the train pulled away, Eloise rested her head against Thomas's shoulder, watching the landscape change before her eyes, and realized that life, like the books she cherished so deeply, always held the promise of uncharted chapters.